Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Schmiegel. I'm the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes and a 20-year Marine veteran. For the veterans on the Hangout with us today, if you're joining us for the first time, you're joining us on what we refer to as an industry panel on the Career Connections site of VetNet. This is our first panel, which will be non-private sector, and today we are joined by representatives from two government agencies that have great veterans hiring programs: the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the United States Customs and Border Protection Agency. Before we introduce our three panelists from those two agencies, I'd like to tell you a little bit about VetNet. VetNet is a technology-based effort to help veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses find meaningful employment in the public and private sector. It was created in collaboration with Google and three leading military family nonprofits. Nonprofits that I consider best in class. Of course, I'm including our own organization, Hiring Our Heroes, at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University, and a small nonprofit based in Atlanta called Hire Heroes USA. Think of VetNet as a virtual career resource center on Google+. On this site, even considered a television channel, we'll be hosting panels like this, question and answer periods, workshops via Hangout video chats. The best thing about this is it's free and open to everyone, and the material will fall into three specific employment tracks. So it's not just focused on people who are looking for traditional work. It also focuses on people who are interested in owning a business, or people who are new to the private sector and want advice. So we have three channels. The first one is a basic training channel. It helps you get yourself squared away with resume writing, and it helps you connect to mentors. It helps you with interview techniques. It helps you develop an elevator pitch when you talk to an employer. It's a valuable complement to what the Department of Defense does with its own transition assistance program. And then the entrepreneur track. That's run by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse and their professor, Mike Haney. It's basically college-level business courses to help you turn a business idea into a reality. And then, of course, the track that you joined today, the Career Connections track, where you can participate in video chats with industry experts and get advice from veterans who have made their own transition from the Department of Defense to either the public sector, like today, or to the private sector. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have, to my immediate right, Joe Battaglia. Joe Battaglia manages the recruitment program at the United States Customs and Border Protection. Recruitment is responsible for maintaining a workforce of approximately 55,000 people nationwide and overseas. Joseph is also a retired Navy veteran, having served over 23 years, and has extensive recruiting experience in the Navy as well. He retired as a Master Chief from the Navy in January of '06. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Hi.
Jack, who's to Joe's right, also joins us from CBP. He is their Veterans Program Manager within the CBP headquarters in Washington, D.C. He's got vast experience in a wide array of veterans issues. Prior to his assignment with CBP, Jeff worked with the Department of Veterans Affairs in their central office for voc rehab and employment. Jeff provides a lot of different programs. I'm not going to go over all of them. He works a lot with wounded warriors and their family members, and I won't steal any of his thunder outside of that. Jeff is also a Navy veteran. And our third panelist is Dennis May from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Dennis is the Director of Veterans Employment Service Office at the VA. He guides the VSO staff in expanding and enhancing recruiting efforts to increase the percentage of veterans in VA's workforce. And he'll talk a little bit about the veteran VA's program shortly. Dennis is an Air Force veteran, and he retired at the rank of Colonel in 2007. So today, for our panelists and for those vets that are out there listening, we are talking about career opportunities in the government. Of course, we're just dealing with CBP and the VA, but I think it's important to note for all the veterans out there that veterans are 30% more likely to land a job in the government than non-veterans. There's a number of different reasons for that, but I really boil it down to the programs that are out there within our government, but also the fact that this is a culture that veterans can easily assimilate to, that they can easily go from one department like the Department of Defense to another government agency. I also think that it provides a good bridge if they decide to go to the private sector later. So this is an important panel for us to do. It also shows that programs like Hiring Our Heroes, which is a big nonprofit, is working closely with our government to make it better from a public-private sector approach. And I think we need to do more of that across the country to really help younger veterans and their families transition from the military. So for veterans who are listening, feel free to submit questions as we go along. You can do that either on the Google Plus page that we have up or on YouTube if you're following it via YouTube. If we don't get to your question during the live panel, we'll certainly answer it within 48 hours on the Google Plus VetNet site. So without further delay, we'll get started. Thanks for your patience, gentlemen. Sometimes I like to talk a lot. My wife says I should talk less and listen more. Anyway, I think for the first question, to give you time to talk as much as I did, why don't we start with kind of a broad introduction and overview of your programs. I think we will start with Dennis, and then we'll go over to Jeff and Joe to kind of go through all of CBP's. What we'll do while you're talking is we'll call up your websites, show some of the resources that are available. If there are specific things you want us to point to, we're happy to do that. You'll see it as we go along with the veterans. The last thing, as you do your overview, and if we don't get to it, I'll get it out of you one way or the other, but if veterans are interested in pursuing a career in your agency, maybe give a little advice on how they can prepare for one, and then feel free to cover any unique programs that the VA or CBP has that you think would be of particular interest to veterans. So kind of free reign there. Dennis, why don't you kick us off?
Hey, thanks, Kevin, and thanks for the opportunity to participate in this chat today. A great use of the technology and an opportunity to share the good news about what we're all trying to do for our fellow vets out there. Here at the VA, as Kevin mentioned, our office is dedicated to helping vets find employment in the VA. We're proud of what we've done so far in the past. We've got about a third of our workforce currently consists of veterans, but that's not good enough. We're the VA, and we've set a target of 40% veteran employment in the VA. And so we're not just looking for vets because you're a vet. We're looking for a vet because we understand that you get it. You bring the type of skills that we're looking for, the type of work ethic that we're looking for to provide the critical services that we need to provide to our fellow vets. Some of the mission critical occupations that we're desperately trying to fill right now, obviously in the healthcare arena, everything from registered nurse to doctors and nursing assistants and pharmacists. But I also want to make folks aware of the fact that VA has over 300 occupational series throughout the department, so not just healthcare opportunities, but we're looking for veteran service reps, HR folks, IT professionals, as well as contract specialists. Our VA for Vets website that we'll show you here in a little bit, or we encourage you to check us out. We've got online career center that provides the type of tools that our vets need to make themselves ready for employment. Online tools such as a series of skills assessments that you can take to help you answer that all-important question: what can I do? What kind of skills do I have, and how do they line up with opportunities in the federal government, particularly the VA? And opportunities as far as a military skills translator. And we recognize that there are several military skills translators on the market, but we think ours is unique in the fact that not only does it take into account your occupational series, but it also accounts for the grade that you were in, as well as any other specialized training or any type of ancillary training you may have been exposed to while in the military. It takes the skills, the training that you have had in the military, and puts that experience into plain language that you can literally use to cut and paste and build a federal resume. We've got over 70 coaches that are available 24/7 on our toll-free number that are available to help you navigate the website. And once you get to a point where you've got a usable resume that you want us to help you tweak or hone or target for a specific job, our coaches are available to help you do that. In addition to those coaches that are available, we've got a team of regional veteran employment coordinators that are actually attending some of the Hiring Our Heroes job fairs that the Chamber is sponsoring. So you can interact at those events with VA recruiters that will help you, take a look at your resume, help you with any type of questions you might have as far as making yourself marketable in the VA. VA hired over 13,000 veterans last year to our workforce, so about 37% of the new hires last year were veterans. So we're serious about bringing new veteran talent into the VA, and once you get here, we're taking steps to make sure that you stay here in VA and you can reach your full potential. So we're not just looking at bringing vets in and giving them a job in VA. We want them to look at their second career and having a successful second career here in the VA. So I look forward to answering any questions that you might have as we go throughout the chat. And again, thanks, Kevin, for the opportunity to share today.
That's great, Dennis. Thanks. Again, it's a good point at the end. Veterans, if you have questions, please start posting them now so we can get to them as quickly as possible. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jeff now from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Jeff.
Thank you again, Kevin, and welcome all the veterans and their spouses and service members if you're online with us. My partner and I, Joe Battaglia, who's the lead recruiter and guru of most things having to do with CBP careers, I'll hand off to him on some of these things after I'm done. But in general, I echo the sentiments of Dennis May, which is we know that veterans make a great fit, the perfect fit for CBP careers. And we have frontline law enforcement positions with Border Patrol agents. We have Customs and Border Protection officers. And we have agricultural specialist positions along with mission support, several mission support positions. We have the HR positions and other positions that are required, for the mission, for the support of the mission going forward. So it's a great fit. And what I do as far as the Veterans Program is we try to encourage veterans to come on board, and we'd like to match the same numbers that VA has there. We had, out of our new hires, our commitment to veteran hiring is strong, and we had over 27% of all new hires were veterans last year. And that's directly due to the efforts of Joe Battaglia and the recruiters that are out there. They go to a lot of different functions across the country. I'll let Joe talk about that in a second. However, in my program, we have a few programs, like the 2 internship programs I like to talk about. One of them is the Operational Warfighter Program. We partner with the Department of Defense to help service members who are in their medical transition out of DOD, to give them an opportunity to come into CBP to have a non-paid internship where the DOD actually pays the service members who have been injured, and they come to us and they're able to be provided with an internship opportunity within a federal government agency across the country and also here at CBP headquarters. Then we also have the the Department of Veterans Affairs Non-Paid Work Experience Program, which is part of the Vocational Rehabilitation and Employment Program. Veterans from that program were able to get a background investigation check done for them, and they can come in and do the same free internship component where our hiring managers get a chance to see them in action for free before we actually commit to hire them. And it's a great way for, even if the veterans are not hired from either of those 2 internship programs, it gives a great bullet for each of the veterans who participate to be able to have for their next job in the transition. So if they don't land with us, which we hope we're able to keep these veterans from these internship programs, it's a great vehicle to use to onboard veterans. They're able to still have that bullet on their resume going forward. So currently, we're not hiring right now because we're in a state of pause with the hiring process. However, going forward, and Joe can hit on this in a second, we have a Border Patrol agent announcement that will be coming out in spring. So we're going to be recruiting heavily for that. But I just, in my own experience coming from the Department of Veterans Affairs, I worked with Dennis May over at VA, in my experience here in Central Office, or over at Central Office in VA. I know how important it is in my experience and how valuable veterans can be to an agency. And I also know what a great fit it is. And to have these 2 internship programs is a really fantastic vehicle, and we want to do our best to utilize these 2 programs. We also have a Wounded Warrior program where we have veterans that are 30% or greater, and we try to fit them into openings right away. So, like I said, there are a multitude of opportunities within CBP.gov, and you can look on cbp.gov.
Okay,
Okay.
Fit between veterans and the positions we have both in law enforcement and mission support. So with that, I can hand over to my colleague Joe B, as we like to call him. For more.
Okay, we got a little delay there. Again, my name is Joe Battaglia. I'm the recruiting coordinator for CBP. As Jeff alluded to, we are getting ready to open up a Border Patrol announcement February 20th. I suggest everyone go on to USA Jobs and set up a saved search for that position, just in case that date slide up or down. But you'll have the opportunity to go online and apply for the position for Border Patrol agent. The positions are going to be all located on the southwest border. So that's anywhere from Brownsville, Texas, all the way to San Diego, California. That's where our entry-level agents come in and get their experience. Our website is cbp.gov/careers. On that website, you can see the different frontline positions that Jeff spoke about earlier. We also have 2 additional frontline air and marine, our air interdiction agents, which are pilots, and we also have a select non-pilot air interdiction agents, and also a marine interdiction agent, and those are the folks that control the rivers and lakes and oceans surrounding the country. On the left-hand side of our web page, you can find our veterans page and also a calendar for upcoming events. We attend recruiting events all throughout the country where we have the majority of them are uniformed recruiters, either Border Patrol agents or U.S. Customs Border Protection officers attending these events. So if you're in the area of one of our events, stop by and visit the table, and you get a chance to talk to one of our frontline officers or agents and talk about a career with CBP. For the most part, if you don't know about CBP, our mission is to protect the borders of the country from entry of illegal aliens and weapons of mass destruction. The Border Patrol is responsible for covering all the gaps between the port of entries. And then CBP officers actually control the port of entries, whether they're bridge crossings, water crossings, or international airports, so any entry into the United States. And then Air Marine just helps fill in the gap and supports the operations of both Border Patrol and CBP officers. So on the 20th of February, if that's the date stands, that's when you can go online and apply. Basically, the only experience you need for a Border Patrol agent is 1 year of general work experience, driver's license, and lived in the United States for be a U.S. citizen, lived in the U.S. for the last 3 years. They exclude military time, so if you're stationed overseas, that's not going to count against you. So you go on and apply, you'll get issued. Yeah, yes, Kevin.
I'm just wondering, you hit on a point when you said the February 20 date. We had a question from a vet out there, Daniel Denner, who's a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer, so that's kind of a nice fit for the question I'm about to ask. Yeah. But he wanted to talk about the potential impact of federal funding and continuing resolutions and how that's going to affect hiring in some of the government agencies. Do you guys see a big problem with that, Joe?
Well, not, we're mandated by Congress to maintain a certain level of agents and officers, and we've been granted permission to maintain those levels. So we are doing what we call attrition hiring, just maintaining those levels.
That's great, Dennis. What about you at the VA, Dennis? Any problems, or as you guys seen a slowdown? It's all right. I mute myself all the time. Go ahead.
I was full of mute there, but yes, the good news is we're in a position where we can continue to hire. So VA will continue to hire throughout this the uncertainty of the federal budget situation. So
good.
That's the good news.
That's good. I think. I mean, we probably won't see as much growth as we saw over some of the years, but it's good to hear that there's going to be some steady throughput and it's still a good option. I'm going to stay with you, Dennis, for just a minute. We got another question in from a Marine officer who's on active duty named Josh Summers. Josh is looking to transition to the civilian workforce, and he just had a very basic question, and I think it's probably a good question for all the veterans who are listening. But how far out do your agencies typically accept applications? Is there a time limit, or how far out can they go before they're transitioning out of the military?
Yeah, generally speaking, if you see a position posted on USA Jobs, that indicates that we're trying to fill that position relatively quickly. But what we're doing here at VA in our VA for Vets website, and one of the reasons we want to drive folks to the website is that once they've got a good resume, they can upload that in our resume database. And what we use that for is we engage directly with hiring managers throughout VA, so that as they have positions that come available, even before they post them on the USA Jobs website, they can come to our office to see if they can find a qualified veteran who's eligible for a non-competitive appointment. And generally speaking, anyone who's gotten out of the service within the last 3 years is eligible for a VRA appointment. And without going all inside baseball on you, we can make those determinations. So I encourage you to, Josh, go ahead and put your resume in our resume database so that we can reach out to you as positions become available. We've even seen instances where we found the right candidate who was still on active duty, that the office was willing to wait until that individual at least got to his terminal leave phase and was able to wait for him to come and join that team because he was absolutely the right person and they were willing to wait for him. So the short answer is, when you've got a good resume ready to roll, we want it in our hands so we can reach out to you either now or in the future.
That's great. I think it goes to a good question, which I think I'll turn it over to Jeff. I'd like to talk about the future of the government. I mean, that's kind of the question that was asked for the first one, but to look at the future of the VA and CBP, and specifically how you see career opportunities changing, if at all. If they're not changing, no big deal. But tying that to the best way for a service member to transition. I think we see a lot of service members wait until they leave active duty. We, as the Hiring Our Heroes program, are getting more and more involved with trying to get them to start the process of getting certifications or licenses or accreditation before they leave. I think if they know what they want to do, certainly they should explore those things. But could you talk about kind of the future of CBP, maybe some of the career opportunities that you see that agency migrating to, and then just some general advice on the best way to prepare for the transition?
Sure, Kevin, thank you. And it's a great question. And I remember when I was with VA as a vocational rehabilitation counselor, it was important to talk about the transition, and in that role we would help our veterans to get college degrees and have them from the day they started their degree program to be thinking about the graduation and networking from day one to get into the labor market they were targeting and focus like a laser. So I really appreciate this venue, because for the veterans that are out there, I would like, I can provide my contact information, and I'd like to develop a relationship with the folks who are out there if they have any questions, even if we're not hiring at the moment. We have the Border Patrol agent announcement coming out. But I want to be able to develop one-on-one relationships with veterans, if they have any questions at all regarding how they can begin networking, how they can start building the skills they need for careers within Homeland Security, within Customs and Border Protection. Because I know transitioning from VA, I came to this agency, and it's really exciting, the different careers you can get into. As an agricultural specialist, you can be checking cargo. It requires a degree in biology. It's been an eye-opener with the different careers that I've been able to get used to coming over here. The frontline law enforcement, I don't think you'll find a better group of law enforcement officers and professionals in the land, and the training that's required of them. It's going to be good for and smart for veterans who are out there and service members to begin getting the tangible skills and at least recognizing what is required of it. For instance, Joe can talk about how the Border Patrol agent, you're required to be fluent in Spanish. developed, and then you actually enhance those skills while you're in the southwest border. And then our Customs and Border Protection officers, I see growth in each of the areas. We're, as Joe alluded to, we are mandated by Congress to have certain levels within the front line. We call them frontline law enforcement positions, the Customs and Border Protection officers and the Border Patrol agents. And so, you know, we're always going to have a need for that. And so the biggest thing is I've learned in my previous career with VA and with Customs and Border Protection is having veterans who are looking to transition, start that transition at least 6 months before you get out. You now have a contact, a network in me and myself and also Joe, where you can contact us and identify, you know, hey, look, just troubleshoot. You can look at the career and you can ask us what, you can ask me, for instance, what exactly, explore more with me about the different careers that are out there. Because like I said, everybody thinks of Customs and Border Protection, they think of frontline law enforcement, they think of the show on National Geographic. We have so many other careers that are available and veterans will make a perfect fit. So I know from my own transition when I got out of the military in the early 90s, I wanted to be a physical therapist, but I was unfortunately allergic to science and math, so that didn't exactly work out. But it's good now to know what our partner with VA, Dennis May, has to offer, and also Evoke Rehab within VA, to be able to plan accordingly. The two programs that I manage in the internship program, the two internship programs I have, the one with DOD, which is Operation Warfighter, and also the VA's Vocational Rehabilitation Non-Paid Work Experience, is for veterans with service-connected disabilities, service members and veterans. Both service members can utilize both of those programs before they get out, to be able to have a seamless transition into employment wherever they're looking to get into. So I would encourage to talk to your commands and also talk directly to the source. You can come to me now because you know the veterans out there know about me as the Veteran Program Manager. Contact me. I miss the interaction that I used to have with veterans over VA, and now I get to have that again in my role at CBP. And then reach out to the VA and find out what your benefits are for if you have service-connected disabilities, and if you don't, they have all types of great programs, as Dennis alluded to. So the future, of course, is bright. We have frontline law enforcement positions, and once this hiring situation has been resolved with the fiscal issue in Congress and going forward, I believe it'll be just as robust hiring going forward. But we're always in need of great employees, and I don't think of someone who makes a better fit than a veteran. I mean, as you can tell by the folks on the panel and also the veterans out there. So I appreciate their commitment to the country. And then I just have never, in my experience with VA and also with CBP, I've never seen anybody work as hard as a veteran and as such a self-starter and has the innate qualities that veterans have. So they're the first I'd go to if I had an open position. Thanks,
Jeff. I think I'm going to take advantage of Joe's background and his career. I think he might be the kind of the best person, given how he worked his way up the ranks and then retired and got out after 23 years of faithful service. But I think it might be interesting to hear from you, Joe, first on any advice you wish you had been given that you can share with the veterans that are out there listening. And then, you know, we've talked briefly on a number of different panels that we've done about the USA Jobs capability and how veterans can search for jobs to that capacity as well. So why don't you kick it off first by talking about your own transition and advice you may want to give, and then briefly cover the USA Jobs capability. We'll call that site up when you get there.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Before I do that, I just want to mention real quickly about as far as planning for our frontline positions, you really need to plan at least a year to almost 18 months out from your separation. We accept so many applications on an announcement. For instance, this Border Patrol announcement that we're going to open in February, we expect to receive close to 60,000 applications. It takes a long time to go through those 60,000 applications. So you know, during the pre-employment process, people get hung up in different aspects of it. But if you want that smooth transition from active duty to a job with us, I definitely would start looking on USA Jobs. That's what we're going to talk about, at least a 12 months to almost 18 months out. Like Dennis said also, you know, we've had vets apply, you know, get the call to start working and they're still in active duty. We hold the position for you. reasonable amount of time, 3 to 6 months, they'll hold the position until you get out. So that's available. USA Jobs. One of the things I wish I knew about USA Jobs when I was looking for a job, because I hear it all the time talking with vets. They go to USA Jobs every day looking for jobs. Well, that's fine if you have nothing better to do, but USA Jobs has a lot of tools built into it to where you can go there, set up an account, and I think the most valuable tool they have is the save search capability. If you go to USA Jobs and set up an account, there's a location on there where you can save a search. And basically what the save search capability can do for you is that you can go in there and set up a search based on your criteria. So whether it's a job series, if you go to the VA's website, I think that's a great tool they have on there to convert your military experience into government experience, to what we call the same position in the government. That you can go on USA Jobs and set up your searches. So if you're in logistics or you're looking for law enforcement, you can go in there and set up a search saying, I'm interested in law enforcement positions. And what the system will do is initially show you all the law enforcement positions that are available, at that point. And then in the future, any additional jobs or any changes to those postings that are from the initial search, you'll get a notification. So you don't really have to go there every day, looking for a job. The system will work for you. And you can set up up to 10 different searches. So you can set them up, based on, geographical locations. You can do it on pay scale, job series, a whole bunch of different things you can get them set up. And then you can also set up the frequency that you want to get the notifications, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly. So I suggest you get in there, set up your save searches, and let the system work for you. That way you don't have to keep going there every day. But I think that the most difficult part is knowing what positions you can qualify for. And that's a great tool that the VA has on their website to kind of give you a direction. You can also use the OPM website and look at their position description, PDs, for different series, and kind of look at the background of what you can qualify for. I think is understanding that and having the right expectations. I think if you set up your search, you start receiving jobs that fit you and jobs that you can qualify for. Nothing more frustrating than applying for a bunch of jobs and never hear anything back. I think the majority of the problem that we see is applying for jobs that really maybe overqualified for. So you want to really zone in on your exact qualifications and match up those needs with the different agencies, so you can get your application in there. The only other thing I would recommend is, when you do apply, make sure that you answer the questions, the KSAs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities. Those are the questions that basically the agencies use to kind of narrow in on the expertise that they're actually looking for. Make sure your resume supports your answer. If you say, you have 12 years in law enforcement, make sure your resume reflects that, because the KSAs, they use those answers to initially get you qualified, but then someone, a staffing specialist, will look at those answers and then marry it up to your resume. And if they don't match, you're going to get kicked out. It's not going to send that forward. So make sure the keywords with your experience match up with the keywords in the KSAs, and then again make sure your resume supports the answers to your KSA.
Appreciate it, Joe. That's really good answer, good overview. We are going to take another question. Question 3 comes from Daniel Adams. She's asking a very pointed question about an application that she submitted to the Department of State. She was recently turned down for a position, so I think we may be able to answer the question in general terms. We'll turn to our expert at the VA, of course, Mr. May. But she said she was turned down for the position, and the response she got back was that she was eligible but did not rank high enough. She's new to the civilian application process, and she's not sure exactly what that means. She wants to know if the agency was referring to her actual rank or to her application and the fact that she didn't rank high enough as compared to other applicants. So maybe Dennis, you could cover that and then cover whatever else you want to cover for wrap-up comments.
Sure. Yeah, along that line, and again, I don't want to speak for another agency, but just in general terms, an individual can be eligible based on the standards, the OPM qualification standards. So they might meet the minimum eligibility standards to be deemed eligible for the position. And again, I'm not familiar with that specific agency process, but they will, through whatever means, determine a best qualified pool of applicants, and then other tiers of applicants. So if you're not in the best qualified tier, you won't be referred to the hiring manager for an interview or any follow-up activities. So I'm pretty sure they weren't referencing her military grade as far as her standing. It was more a question of how she ranked and stacked against the other pool of applicants. But if you go to OPM's website, the fedshirevets.gov website, and I think they're going to link to it here, but on that website, each federal agency has a Veteran Employment Program office that does pretty much what we do, and that's a name and a phone number, an email address of the Veteran Employment Office that can give you specific answers as to that agency's process and give you more clarity on the specific agency, how they rendered the decision they rendered. Again, just going back to what we do here at VA, we're encouraging folks to not only go to the website, register, take advantage of the tools, but as you give us information and feed us information, we can show the current positions that are available not only in VA but throughout federal government that are posted on USA Jobs that you may be able to qualify for based on your grade, experience, etc. So a coach is available to help walk you through that. So one of the things we found, we know we've got a high-tech solution at our disposal, but it's only as good as being able to reach out and touch people. So we recognize the value of having a high-touch aspect of it as well. So we've got these state-of-the-art tools that are available, but we encourage folks to take advantage of those career coaches to help guide them through the process. And again, while our mission is to help vets get jobs in VA, the tools that you can find available there will help you get a job anywhere throughout the federal government, because a federal resume is a federal resume, whether you're trying to apply for a job in VA, CBP, or Commerce, or anywhere else. So we think there's lots of tools available. Take advantage of those tools, but even more importantly, take advantage of the coaches and the human engagement that's available to help walk and talk you through the process.
Okay, I'm going to ask the vets that are listening and just let them know we're coming to the end of this panel. If there are any questions out there, please feel free to type them in now for the vets who are interested in anything that our panelists may have to offer. Of course, you can feel free to ask questions after the panel as well, if you're joining us for the first time and feel a little shy right now. So I think to wrap the panel up, if we don't have any questions, I'm going to go to Jeff representing CBP one more time to see if we've missed anything or he has any last parting comments about opportunities at CBP.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Dennis and Joe, as well. They both hit on excellent points in starting your transition and treating it as the tactical opportunity that you've done throughout your military career. Dennis and Joe were career military members, so they know the importance of having a successful career, and then they also have learned and experienced the transition going out. I experienced that transition as well, and we all empathize with what a mammoth it can seem getting that transition done, going into federal employment, especially with USA Jobs. It is something where it takes some time to master. Getting that federal resume done is huge. And then speaking the language of hiring managers within those agencies can be tricky sometimes. That's why it's important to get to know USA Jobs well. It's important to connect with veterans program managers who are in charge within all the federal agencies. So that Feds Hire Vets website is an invaluable tool in finding that information out. I thought, just to wrap up, that it would be a good idea for veterans to know their rights when they're about the different preferences and special hiring authorities that are out there for veterans. You have veterans preference for typical veterans like myself who didn't have any service-connected disabilities. There's a 5-point preference. There are 10-point preferences. There are certain preferences where you can get hired without having any competition, and that is located. Those special hiring authorities and veterans preference information is located on the Feds Hire Vets. So it's important to arm yourself with that information. Arm yourself with information about whatever career you're going into. Myself and Joe Battaglia and that cbp.gov careers website is really a good idea if you want to get into CBP. We'll be available for any questions you have for that as well. But I think the Dennis, my colleagues, at the VA, Dennis, and also Joe B. and Kevin, we've done this transition. It's not the easiest thing. We empathize, and we're here to help in any way we can, because you all are our veteran family. So we're not just these these faces without names back here. We care to get you in to the federal government or wherever your career aspirations want to take you. And we also empathize with how hard it is sometimes, and we want to help you bridge that gap. And this is a great opportunity to do that. So thank you.
And thank you too, Jeff. I want to thank all the panelists for joining us, Dennis, Joe, and again you, Jeff, for being here today. I think it was very valuable information that was passed on. All three vets who got their questions answered, we're very appreciative. And anyone that's listening on the vet side, please feel free to take advantage of the information that's available and to ask questions we can get from the panelists. Again, if you didn't feel like it was the right time for you to ask your questions. It was a pleasure to be joined by 2 Navy veterans and an Air Force veteran. A distinct pleasure to be the Marine that got to lead the panel. Always a pleasure to lead over 2 Navy vets. For the vets who joined, I'd like to say thanks to them too. We'd like them to use this tool as much as possible and tell their friends about the resource. A couple of upcoming things I think people should know about. We're going to start featuring CEOs from some big companies who are veterans themselves who have made the transition. I'm also going to be doing some hangouts on the air where I'd like to have some veterans who are out there join us as panelists. I'll give a brief overview of the Hiring Our Heroes program, and then you can ask questions or talk about your own challenges in the transition process or your search for employment. We'll also be leading a panel in a couple weeks, another hangout where veterans can join called an introduction to a new program that we have called Fast Track. So stay tuned for those things. Again, thank you everyone for joining, and we look forward to hearing your comments and questions. Have a great day, and Happy New Year.